Welcome to the After Spin. Additional comments from our panelists just available on our website. I want to ask each of you, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show, but you didn't? John Hood, I'll start with you.
Well, I wanted to spend a little bit more time on the two conventions, the Republican and Democratic conventions. I attempted to say that someone at the Republican convention demanded that we annex the Sudetenland, and someone at the Democratic convention took off a shoe and pounded it on the table and said, "We will bury you." There were a lot of interesting speeches, but what was particularly interesting, I heard from people who attended both conventions, and there was a clear difference. The Republican convention, while looked messy to some extent on television, was actually pretty well organized. People were fairly happy with the facilities and the way the thing flowed, and people coming back from the Democratic convention were very upset at how it was run and just the things like air conditioning and the difficulties they had technically.
Logistically.
Okay.
Yeah. Dennis, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
You know, we talked about whether or not Tim Kaine would be a good a choice for vice president for North Carolina. I had the opportunity to be around him quite a bit at one period of time a while back, and I got to tell you, he really is a good guy. He was funny. He had a sense of humor. He liked to talk about things that most people like to talk about, family, sports. And I think as America gets to know him through this campaign, they're really going to like him.
But he describes himself as being sort of a dull guy.
Well, he's self-deprecating. I mean, you know, he's just like most of us. You know, he doesn't think highly of himself. He was very humble. I really think he's going to be somebody to keep your eye on.
Bob Orr, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
Well, there are actually two things. I'm waiting for the legislature to propose, in lieu of the NBA All-Star game, that the basketball game between the South Carolina legislature and the North Carolina legislature be played in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yes, that will be a draw. The other thing was we were talking about all the great speakers at the convention. I didn't get to hear many, but I did get to hear the guy from Duck Dynasty, whose quote was, "Donald Trump always tells the truth as he knows it."
Chris, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
One of the puzzling things to me about the whole HB2 debacle and debate, however you want to describe it, and it happened again when the NBA All-Star game was moved, or the NBA announced it, is the venom with which not just political people, but actually public officials have attacked the NBA and corporations. And the NBA said specifically, "We'll come back here in 2019. We don't want to abandon North Carolina altogether. We don't want a state that discriminates. We'll work with you to try to figure something out." But after the attacks by Governor McCrory, some of his spokespeople, it was really an interesting strategy to go after fiercely corporations that disagree with a policy and choose not to come here when corporations can do whatever they want.
All right. I think that's everyone. Thanks for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.